Pocahontas is trash. I found this movie really boring as a kid, and it has not gotten better with time. I mean, it's got some good stuff. The songs are solid, as usual. Colors of the Wind is a real standout, and I get a lot of ironic enjoyment from Mine, Mine, Mine. Miko is cute. There's a single good line.
Why do you think those insolent heathens attacked us?
Because we invaded their land and cut down their trees and took up their earth.
Despite that, the movie is stunningly non-self-aware. It's honestly kind of offensive how it tries to both sides the issue of white colonists forcing the Native Americans off their lands. But I don't even want to get into that because it makes me sick the more I think about it. Bottom line is, every character is boring. Every scene that isn't a musical number is lifeless and flat. The villain is a complete and utter joke.
Success will be mine at last.
What? Why did you say it like that? Pocahontas and John Smith can magically communicate with each other. No, that's not even an exaggeration. It's literally some forest magic that gives them a special heart listening technique. Why? The tree can talk and whip people. Okay, sure. Why does Mel Gibson voice John Smith? His voice sticks out like a sore thumb, maybe because he's not doing a British accent like all the other characters who came from Britain. Oh God, why am I talking about this movie? It's bad. You know it's bad. I can understand liking Brave or Happy Feet, but like, how do people enjoy this tone-deaf, absurdly boring piece of garbage? Just watch Colors of the Wind on YouTube and pretend it's a short film. Save yourself 81 minutes of your life that you'll never get back. Okay, moving on. I'm gonna play you a brief clip that perfectly sums up the quality of the movie Brave. Here it is.
Fortnite.
I could stop there, but let's keep going. Brave sticks out like a sore thumb in the list of animated feature winners. I feel like you can make a case for any of them winning in their respective years, but Brave is such a boring, derivative mess. And I don't think there's any justification for it beating Wreck-It Ralph. Everyone disliked that. But forget about that. Brave is just really bad. It's a generic, dumb story with a boring, dumb protagonist coupled with dumb side characters and no charm whatsoever. They copied Brother Bear. Brother Bear. Oh, I want the spell to change me mom. To paraphrase Will Smith, Genie,
There's a lot of gray area in
change me mom.
I'll be your mommy.
Merida is the worst Disney princess and Pixar protagonist by far. That includes Lightning McQueen, Ann Mater, and Dino Lad. This idiot constantly says it's not her fault that she turned her mother into a bear, while also getting no repercussions for that whatsoever. Even Disney hates her.
What
What the are you talking about?
Now that I'm thinking about it, this scene was probably shade since Brave beat the first Ralph movie at the Oscars. I mean, this movie is worse than Ralph Breaks the Internet, so I'll allow it. Turn around, you idiots! There's a bear behind you. Do you not hear it? She's clearly looking over and taking notes from someone. Turn around and see the bear! It also has some awful humor that you might find in a Z-tier DreamWorks movie, like when one of the toddlers jumps into a woman's bodacious bosom. Yeah, that was a thing. I think we can stop there, to be honest. I really didn't feel like watching this movie. It really shouldn't count for the purposes of this list. It just happened to come out after The Little Mermaid instead of before by some freak accident. It is a leftover from a bygone era of Disney films that I have not seen and have no interest in seeing. But whatever, I watched it to be safe and it's fine. I like a few things, namely the villain. He's pretty funny and menacing. I really like that sequence with the eagle at the beginning. It's real pretty. The bird is pretty okay. I guess the mice are okay despite barely being in the movie. Like, seriously, what's the deal there? Isn't this movie called The Rescuers Down Under? Aren't they the rescuers? It is the titular role, and yet they feel like weird side characters. I'd complain about this other mouse trying to form a wedge in their relationship, but he really doesn't? Which I guess could be considered a neat subversion, but I think it's more so a case of the movie not devoting any time to their relationship or their characters whatsoever. I think they get like 2 scenes where the guy mouse wants to propose but fails to. 2 scenes does not equal a running gag, bucko. This kid is the dumbest person alive. Yeehaw, kiddo, I'm an evil poacher who threatened to kill you on numerous occasions. But now the eagle I'm after is dead. Oh well, guess you're free to go now, kid. But golly gee, it sure is a shame that those eggs are unattended to. If only someone would go check on those eggs. Then this dumbass goes straight to where the eggs are, and the villain follows him in a loud-ass tank. It is here, at the very end of the movie, where the titular characters finally impact the plot by telling the kid that he's a complete moron, and that George C. Scott followed him here. Oh, there's a big surprise! God, this movie is just unbearably stupid. It has enough good elements to keep it above this, but I feel like I just got nothing out of this experience. If you ask me, this doesn't count as a Renaissance film. Release dates be damned. It feels so archaic, especially compared to the movie that came out the year before it, and I seriously doubt I will ever think about it again. If you like it, good for you. I don't care. Tarzan is kind of a frustrating movie to talk about. It's not bad, but it kind of disgusts me on a personal level. I feel like all the pieces were there for a really powerful, compelling, top-tier Disney experience, but the movie really dropped the ball in a lot of key areas. Right off the bat, the fact that this film yeets the whole musical format away just to have Phil Collins semi-narrate the emotions of each scene with his weird-ass songs was just kind of mind-boggling. The songs are actually pretty decent. I mean, Two Worlds was used to great emotional effect in the animation classic The Family Sim.
We're engaged!
But still, why did it have to be this way? All the songs ended up feeling samey, and the emotion of each scene they appeared in kind of fell flat for me as a result. Maybe if they got a cover artist to sing half of them so we wouldn't have to hear the booming voice of Phil Collins echoing through the jungle, that could have worked a little better. But they just blend together into this tepid pulp. You're telling me You'll Be in My Heart deserved an Oscar over Plain Canada from South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut? Is that an out-of-season April Fool's joke? There's a scene where all the animals find a bunch of human artifacts and they start using them as musical instruments. And I thought, oh my god, are we gonna have a musical number? Is this finally gonna be like a real Disney movie? But no, they just scat and make noise and that's it. It's so painfully obvious that there was going to be a song in the scene, but I guess Disney said, nah, kids these days don't like musicals anymore, just have Phil Collins sing everything. YouTuber Sideways made a great video on this subject that perfectly encapsulates my feelings on the matter. Check it out if you want more detail. And I wish I could say that that's the most disappointing aspect of Tarzan, but actually, yeah, that is the most disappointing aspect. But there's other disappointing things too. Despite Phil's best efforts, the opening is really compelling. Seeing a gorilla family lose their baby to a cheetah, and then seeing the mother rescue Tarzan, who lost his parents to that same cheetah. This rescue sequence is tense, exciting, and done without any words. It made me wish the animals would continue without talking, kind of like Spirit, and the emotion on their faces would progress the narrative. But nah, they talk. Which is just great, because we're introduced to the most annoying character in any of the movies on this list. Yes, that includes George Costanza Gargoyle, Turk. I hate Turk with every fiber of my being. She's a blatant ripoff of Timon without any of the charm or story relevance. Also, this elephant is just neurotic Pumbaa. That's a no from me, dog. Fortunately, they're not really in the movie that much. It's more about Tarzan trying to prove himself to his father, who hates him because he's not an ape, and him learning to become human when he meets Jane Foster, or whatever her name is. That stuff is actually pretty compelling. In addition, the action is really something to behold. Anytime there's a chase or fight scene, it's something special. Also, listen to this elephant talk.
No, she's right. They're native to South America.
One more injury like that, and you could wind up like that poor creature there. The Iron Bunny.
But the movie gets dragged down again by this boring-ass hunter villain guy. They could have had a great villain on their hands with that cheetah who killed Tarzan's parents, but that thing is disposed of pretty quickly for some reason, and now we gotta deal with Clayton and his tired, predictable motivations. I mean, at least Radcliffe was ironically enjoyable.
That was his mistake.
But Clayton has nothing cool about him whatsoever, except his death scene. Holy Hera. Speaking of death scenes, though, the dumbest thing about this movie is Tarzan's adoptive father dying after the climax and telling Tarzan that he was wrong, that Tarzan was his son all along. I'm sorry, that's even faker than the ending of Shark Tale. Gorilla Dad was right. He died because of the humans Tarzan trusted and embraced. He has never shown a shred of decency to Tarzan in the entire film until now. In reality, he should have said, I told you those white men were dangerous, you idiot, and then died right then and there. Sometimes people don't make emotional reconciliations with estranged family members right before their death. It's time you stopped living in a fairy tale, Disney. Or if you are gonna live in a fairy tale, give me the musical numbers that defined your fairy tales for so long. Whatever, the point is, Tarzan is a mixed bag that I don't have much interest in revisiting ever again. The emotional beats are really strong and some of the characters are solid, but the slapstick and comedy fall flat, the villain is lame, and the lack of traditional Disney songs really drags this one down for me. Thank God Disney never hired Phil Collins again. you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you out of your mind? I'm going on record saying that Frozen is, in fact, a good movie. And like, yeah, I guess I still think that, but there's some real hot garbage in this one, honestly. Let's start with the good stuff. I really like Anna. She's spunky and funny and filled to the brim with personality. I love seeing her naivete about the world being tested over and over, and I also love her interactions with Kristoff. Their chemistry is pitch perfect.
It's Kristoff!
Olaf is also really funny, honestly. He's very self-aware for a comic relief, and he has some great lines.
Oh, look at that. I've been impaled.
Anytime these three share the screen, it's a blast. I also think half the songs are bangers. Let It Go is Let It Go. There's a reason it's so popular. It's great when you remove it from the context of the story, but I'll talk about that later. Love is an Open Door is a jam. I love the opening title song. For the first time in forever is solid, and the reprise is really good. Okay, that's all the good stuff that comes to mind. Half of these songs are real bad. I've always hated Do You Want to Build a Snowman. It's just annoying and terrible from a musical perspective. In Summer is whatever. The Rock Troll song is atrocious and so tonally inappropriate given the context of the story. The Rock Trolls in general are pointless and stupid.
You should never take something for granted.
I hate Hans as a twist villain, obviously. But I also hate the stupid red herring villain and his stupid chicken dance. Ugh. But far and away, my biggest issue with this movie is that Elsa is an awful character. This is such a huge issue for me that I cannot go into it here. I already have a full video planned for this topic. We'll get to it eventually. Bottom line is, this movie works, just barely, because the chemistry between our central threesome is so strong, and I enjoy them together. But it's got a lot holding it back. I didn't watch The Wind Rises, but I'm gonna take a wild guess that it deserved the Oscar that year over Frozen. It's alright, moving on. Up is cute. I really like Up. But Up is not automatically a masterpiece based on the first 15 minutes alone. Once that's over, you're left with a decent kids movie, but not much else. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot to enjoy here. The score is probably the best of any Pixar movie. It's absolutely soaring and gorgeous to listen to. Doug is a really funny companion, and I laughed quite a few times at his jokes. And I don't know, it's cute, like I said. The characters are fine, the journey is fine, everything's pretty much fine. But this movie has always been overshadowed by its opening, and I wish people would stop doing that and just consider the movie as a whole. A lot of it is just kind of fluff. It doesn't really have the same thematic cohesion as a lot of other Pixar movies, or hell, even Shrek 2. I don't know, I just don't really see the connection between the promise Carl made to take his wife to Paradise Falls and the promise he made to this random little kid to protect a giant bird creature. The villain is decently intimidating and he works for what he is, but he's nothing incredible, and neither is the movie really. It's a good, enjoyable, family-friendly adventure, but that amazing opening promises so much more. And yeah, if you watch my video about 2009 in animation, I think you know which movie I believe deserved the Oscar this year. Fantastic Mr. Fox is, well, fantastic, and it's a little upsetting that the first Best Picture nomination for an animated movie in almost 20 years went to this instead of Wes Anderson's stop-motion masterwork. But you know, at least it's cute. The Lion King is an unprecedented cinematic achievement that can never be replicated. So why even try? Hakuna Matata, come on. Every frame of this film screams iconic, from the magnificent circle of life sequence to the visceral, intense stampede scene. The emotions conveyed through simple facial expressions, vibrant colors, expressive movement, all the things that can only be encapsulated by animation, are simply astounding. This is a rich, mature, boundary-pushing, gorgeously styled story that flows perfectly, hits hard dramatically, offers a ton of great comedy as a counterbalance, and stands the test of time as the crowning achievement of a studio at the top of their game. I simply don't even know what I could possibly say about this film that hasn't already been said. No, seriously, you guys got anything? I'm kind of at a loss for words. It's just so grand in every way. It doesn't feel too cartoonish or slapsticky, which is a trap some of the other films can fall into on occasion. Every character is iconic in their own way, every setting beautiful, every song engaging, every emotional beat satisfying. The worst song in the movie is still catchy as hell and integral plot-wise. The other four are absolutely pitch perfect. Unlike Mulan, which had very few songs and only one real banger, this one has such phenomenal music that the low song count is totally fine. Oh, speaking of music, I'm just gonna come out and say it. The Lion King has the single best score I've ever heard in a movie. And I've heard some great ones, mind you, but this movie's score is absolutely stunning. Keep in mind, I don't throw best of all time around willy-nilly. It's usually my favorite, because objectivity in film is really hard. But I stand by this. The Lion King is the best film score ever written. Somehow, this is the only movie score Hans Zimmer won an Oscar for, but if we gotta pick just one, then I can't argue with this one. The score enhances the ambiance of every scene, makes for such compelling action, introspection, lightheartedness, and tragedy. It isn't solely responsible for this movie's artistic merit, but it's a very big part of it. And it's the centerpiece to one of the greatest scenes in film history. A scene I physically cannot get through without chills or sobbing or both. I mentioned that A Whole New World was in my top 10 favorite movie scenes of all time. This is in my top 3. I briefly touched upon its impact in my Elsa video, and I don't know if I could ever truly express its magnificence with words. The cloudy vision of Mufasa reminding Simba of his destiny, which then turns into Mufasa as Simba remembered him as the music swells. Dude, it's unbelievable. You know it's unbelievable. I don't need to tell you. Literally the only problem I have with this movie is Matthew Broderick's weird voice. Otherwise, this is the most iconic animated film of all time. How could I not adore it? And yet, Disney already made something even better.